It's my honor to introduce Jane Julian, who is the owner of Julian Farm Incorporated and the 2024 recipient of the Frankfurt Chamber of Commerce Pioneer Farmer of the Year Award. And this is for her ongoing efforts to transition her farm, her family farm, into a future where it can be put into its highest and best uses for the next generation of farmers. She's also joined by her staff, Amy Tolliver and Jacob McCowan. Amy is Jane's personal assistant and has a background in development and administrative support for ag-related nonprofit organizations like the Community Farm Alliance and the Food Literacy Project in Louisville. Jacob, a graduate of Berea College's Sustainable Agriculture Program, leases 4 acres of Julian's land on the farm for his pasture poultry operation and is on staff as Jane's farm manager. Jacob also works closely with Jane's nonprofit board's Farm Stewardship Committee to carry out its directives. So please join me in welcoming Jane, Amy, and Jake, and they're going to share their experience as landowners and a little bit of their story and trying to get their Bradford pear infestation under control with drones.
Good morning. I'm Amy Tolliver, Jane's personal assistant. As Anna Claire was explaining, we're delighted to be here today to share our experience with you. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of how we were using drones to tackle invasives on the farm, I get to tell you a bit about what makes the place special. The 336-acre farm, let me get it up there. There we go. Is listed on the National Register of Historic Places and has been continuously owned by the Julian family since 1813. Through the PACE program, Jane has easements on about the entire farm to protect it from being developed for other purposes, such as having a road put smack dab through the middle of it, which has been attempted among many other things over the years. The front 42 acres of the farm were established as a state nature preserve 20 years ago because of its natural history as a bluegrass savanna. The Julian farm has awesome neighbors. We are located on Louisville Road across from Fish and Wildlife, and KSU's new West Farm is Jane's neighbor to the south. In the more recent history, over the past 23 years, the 250 cleared portions of the farm have been used for raising cattle and producing hay and silage. But in the spring of 2023, Jane decided to shift her farm in a new direction. So she halted the joint cattle operations, selling all the cattle, so that with the help of her team of trusted advisors, you'll hear more about that from her, she could do just that. Her first objectives have been to renovate the overgrazed pastures, transition annual row crops to perennial cool season grasses, and eradicate the invasive weeds impacting production, which is what brings us here today. Before Jake shares about our experience using drones to address the 25-acre monoculture of perennial weed, the Bradford pear that Jane's been dealing with, Jane would like to tell you briefly about her and her farm's magic carpet ride of a transformational experience.
Hello, you all, and welcome. Thank you, Amy. That was very kind. I'm Jane Julian, and I apologize in advance for having to read my comments. If I don't read them and try to wing it, I have a tendency to drone on and on. And is this the first mention of a drone we've had? No. Other people have talked about drones. Okay. So as Amy said, I want to tell you a little bit about my farm's transformational journey. In the 1990s, before tobacco went out, my mother and I were determined to explore different ways of farming. we contracted with Mac Stone, who was then the manager of the Kentucky State University farm here in Franklin County, to help us design a vision of what our farm could do to survive and thrive. Mac helped us get the whole farm certified organic. And the next year, Mac raised 4 acres of butternut squash and sold it to the Gerber Baby Food Factory in Vermont. Maybe some of you served it to your babies, or some of you might even be young enough to have eaten it yourselves. It was a while ago. This new way to raise a crop was an eye-opener for Mother and me. We had to take a few years break from organic farming, but we always kept the squash project as an example of the kind of farming we wanted to do more of in the future. In 2012, after my mother's death, I created a nonprofit, the Jane Julian Farm Incorporated. This nonprofit will continue my family's 200 plus years legacy of farming after I'm gone. The nonprofit board members envision a future where we can collectively, and I quote, sustain the land so that it sustains us. The organization's mission aims to do this through connecting the community to its history, land, and culture by preserving the farm's culture and history, practicing adaptive and resilient agriculture and land management, and providing education and food for the community. We're still growing butternut squash here, but today it's grown by students from the Frankfort Independent Schools. The Julian Farm provides the land for a thriving school garden that is part of the district's Farm to School program. In addition to butternut squash, the students plant and harvest sweet potatoes, pumpkins, and sunflowers. The food is prepared and served in the school's cafeterias, and a portion is distributed through the South Frankfort Food Share. Lastly, we are so very excited about our new neighbors. My board and I could hardly believe the happy news that Kentucky State University purchased the 100-acre farm, which long ago was part of the Julian farm. Soon after the purchase, our board hosted a meet and greet with officials, professors, and staff from the university's School of Agriculture. I'm thrilled by the agricultural hub that the West Farm and my farm have created, and my board and staff are happy to be building a thriving, positive, collaborative relationship with the university. Now here we are at the Habitat Management Symposium and getting ready to get to the fun part of the talk. I'm going to turn the program over now to my farm manager, Jacob McCowan, and Jacob will talk about our exciting recent experience using drone technology in our vendetta against the dreaded Bradford pear trees. Death to Bradford pears. Thank you.
Wow, isn't she enthusiastic? Oh man, well thank you guys for allowing us to speak here. It's a pleasure to represent Miss Julian and the farm. And again, I'm in no way an expert on drone piloting or boom spraying, but I can tell you a little bit about our story using those methods. So let's see, we've got our slide up here, very nice. Okay, so our map shows 3 fields that we have under pasture renovation, and these fields are actually in need of rescuing by chemical application. So it's approximately 50 acres altogether. And so with field A, is where we are recovering the 25 acres infested with the dreaded Bradford pear. No fun dealing with those boogers. But it was abandoned in the summer of 2022 after one of the farmers punctured his tire mowing for hay. Nobody likes that. So field B, as you can see up there, is one of 2 weed-infested sacrifice fields, and it's the site of our novel End-to-Fight Fescue demo. The field was used for winter feeding of cattle, which resulted in high fertility, high weed infestation, and little perennial forage. Basically, a mud pit. So field C is undergoing conversion from annual row crop field to perennial cool season forage pasture. Just the direction that we're going, it's easier to maintain. So of these fields that you can see up here, right, it's quite the project. But we ended up hiring a custom sprayer to land boom spray the mixture of annual and perennial weeds that were in fields B and C, which combined are 25 acres. And we sprayed the 25-acre field infested with the Bradford pear with a drone, which is why we're here today. It's nice to now have a comparison of these 2 application methods used around the same time on the farm, same season. Okay. So, as you can see here, Jeremy Sandifer, this image looks probably a little bit familiar. It's really a great opportunity to have folks like that come out to the farm and give us, eyes from the sky, basically. So, like I said, this aerial image taken by Jeremy Sandifer, KSU State Specialist in Ag Technology. It shows a portion of the field where we utilize drone spraying to rescue it from a Bradford pear infestation. So our goal is to eliminate the Bradford pear, and we want to transition that field into native warm season grasses. So specifically, the grasses we're talking about are big blue stem and Indian grass. And so in order to accomplish that, our goals are creating vegetative buffers, and we want to create a buffer between the working farm and the nature preserve you can see in the north side here on the slide, and the neighborhood on the east side, which is most likely where the Bradford pear came from in the first place. I think you guys can agree with that. So we also want to create stored livestock forage. The big blue stem and Indian grass, it can fill our summer forage gap while the cool season forages are at rest. And third, we want to protect and enhance the currently abundant wildlife habitat. The grasses, which you guys know, will provide structure and cover for wildlife. And if we don't intervene, the Bradford pear could squeeze all of that out. And I myself, walk through those fields currently right now, and I'm seeing humongous pathways where deer are moving through, incredible birds popping up and scaring the crap out of you, But it really is an amazing habitat that I would like to see continue and really be enhanced on the farm. So next slide. Awesome. Well, not so awesome. But so here you can see up close and personal our big ugly infestation. In the fall of 2022, I attempted, to bush hog the field as a first step in getting it under control. It's hard. And surprise, surprise, we punctured a tractor tire halfway through the process, right? So determined not to be defeated by the Bradford pear, Jane purchased new tires from Anderson Tire for her 1974 Ford tractor and had them filled with a commercial sealant called Multi-Seal, if you're familiar with it. And in the spring of 2023, now equipped with puncture-proof tires. These things they're bad, I was able to complete the bush hogging with the tires, and a rainbow magically appeared. It was crazy. Yeah, what do you know? So, we'd also like to give a small shout out to Multi-Seal, really. And we highly recommend it, right? It cost us actually around $821 to fill the 4 tires. and it seals up to 3/4 inch punctures and is guaranteed for the lifetime of the tires. So it ought to work, and if it doesn't, we're giving them a call, you know. Moving on from that, so since all of our custom land boom sprayers that we called, they basically were like, I don't know about getting in there with our equipment. We would much rather keep our tires intact, you know. So we could have taken our chances bringing our own tractor in there, right? It has the nice new tires, but we could have also done a few other methods as well, which is using a forestry mulcher, right? Hiring labor to walk through and spray all those, which, as you saw in the previous slides, that'd take a little while, you know. And then the idea of spraying with the drone sort of dawned on us. Next slide. Okay. All right, that looks great. Look at that drone up there. So after contacting our drone sprayer, Thomas Carmichael, who will be speaking soon, referred to us by John Daly, who did our land boom spraying on the other 2 fields, we were delighted to learn how completely within our reach getting this done with a drone was. It was the most efficient, affordable, and effective option that we saw. The key factors that led us to our decision were, for one, accessibility, reasonable costs, more coverage using less chemical, and Thomas's recent proven results using our chemical of choice on Bradford Repair on another property. Slide. All right. Wow, that's really green. So here we are, right? We have our chemical recipe. And you can take it if you'd like. A lot of you probably use the same thing. So we chose our chemicals with the help of KSU's Extension Associate, Anna Claire Rogers in the back somewhere, and Nat Colton with UK, who also serves on Jane's nonprofit board. They were very instrumental in helping us zero in on the right timing of application as well. So you guys know timing is everything with farming and the work that you do. So as you can see up there, we went with a mix of triclopyr and glyphosate because we learned that triclopyr has better woody control than just glyphosate alone. Okay, here we are, spray day. You guys might even see your picture up there, a few of you at least. So on Wednesday, October 9th, with the ideal low wind weather conditions, we had a very successful drone spraying by Thomas Carmichael. We were very delighted to also have KSU drone pilot Jeremy Sandifer attend and capture imagery and data using his drone. Okay, next slide. All right. Well, here's a short video showing the power of the drone technology. You guys already saw a little clip previously, but we'll see if we can get the video to work, hopefully. Let's see, go back. Maybe the middle button, right? Jonathan, could you rescue us? Potentially. Maybe. Oh, no. Thomas, could you just fly it in here? That would be nice. It might be better. There we go. Wonderful. So while this is playing, I'll continue on, right? Oh, I guess I can't continue the next slide as well. Well. You can see what, a clear, nice hay pasture looks like in comparison to this infestation. And then you see the game trails as well rolling through there. I know you guys recognize those. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you might notice that thing is moving very fast. It was a sight to see in person. I'd never seen it before, so. All right. Awesome. Well, so we had our spray day, and then about 2 weeks later, these images were taken, and yeah, we were happy to see some very crunchy looking, very dead, hopefully, looking Bradford pear trees. You can move on. Okay, so the fun stuff. We've got some numbers up here, and we're going to sort of break this down a little bit. So now we've got a chart we created to show you a comparison of the drone spray of the Bradford pear and with the land boom spray on the other two fields, which added up to be about the same amount of acreage. So I should mention what made this extra fun was trying to pick the spray program during a drought, right? Added a little extra element of a challenge. And our comparison here shows the species we are eliminating, the choice of chemicals, right? Application methods, cost per acre, amount of chemical, tank capacity, the date that the spraying took place, which is important, and yeah, results and obstacles and thereon. So what we found is that both methods were effective, which is a good thing. However, the straight glyphosate didn't completely eliminate the mare's tail in one of our plots. The cost difference was pretty insignificant. It's about the same. In terms of obstacles, we had difficulty getting the land boom on site as a historic farm, right? It was a little bit too wide to fit through our front entrance. And over a narrow, low water crossing. So it was an adventure to get it in there to do some work. So we had to come through the rear entrance to the farm and across a few fields and finally made it. But we also, in doing that too, we had to trim some branches, and you guys get the picture. So the only obstacle with the drone, it was actually, if you guys can get this, it was trying to take all the calls from our neighbors about a strange flying robot spider circling the farm. You know, it's just like, well, I don't know if you guys have ever gotten those calls before. Maybe I'm the only one. Okay, so next slide. What's next? Hint, hint. You know, maybe you can see here what we're thinking, right? So we're going to continue to monitor this field because this battle isn't over yet, you know. And our next decisions are going to lead us into getting ready for planting those native grasses, which is the end goal again. And we're also interested in diversifying our toolbox by exploring the use of fire potentially for site preparation. And, you know, who knows, maybe Jane will find herself hosting a learn and burn on the farm in the near future. Maybe some of you can attend. And, you know, that's pretty much all we've got for this. And, yeah, so we're really happy to be able to tell our story a little bit, you know, from a landowner perspective. And, yeah, I hope it, you know, gave you something to chew on. You know, maybe you've got some people in mind that you know that are having these sort of issues, which I'm sure all of you do. But yeah, that's all we've got. Thank you very much.